The road was a ribbon of pure darkness. It stretched out before me, swallowed by a night so complete it felt like a physical weight pressing down on my car. They call this stretch of asphalt the Devil's Spine, a lonely highway cutting through miles of desolate, forgotten country. No streetlights, no signs of life. Just the hypnotic hum of my tires on the pavement, a sound that seemed to get quieter with every passing mile. This is a place where stories are born, the kind of stories that people whisper about in hushed tones, tales of disappearances, strange sightings that defy all logical explanation. I was here to investigate those claims, to see if the legends held any truth. I had heard the warnings. Locals told me to stay away after sunset, that the road had a history, a dark energy that clung to it like a shroud, phantom headlights that chase you, voices that cry out from the empty fields on either side. But for me, these warnings are not a deterrent. They are an invitation. I seek out these places. I am drawn to the darkness, to the points on the map where the veil between our world and the next is at its thinnest. This road felt different, though. The air was heavy, charged with an oppressive energy that made the hair on my arms stand on end. Something was out here. I could feel it. My name is Leo, and I chase ghosts. It's what I do. I've spent years traveling to the most haunted locations in the country armed with cameras and recorders trying to capture definitive proof of the paranormal. I've been in abandoned asylums, old prisons, forgotten cemeteries. I felt the cold spots, heard the disembodied whispers, seen shadows dart just at the edge of my vision. But this road felt like it was alive. The energy here was raw, untamed, and ancient. It wasn't just a place where something bad happened, it felt like the source of it. I checked my equipment on the passenger seat. My EMF meter was silent, the digital recorder was off, my thermal camera was packed away. For now, this was just about the journey, about immersing myself in the atmosphere of the place. I needed to feel its essence before I could even begin to understand it. The loneliness was a key part of the experience. Being alone amplifies everything. Every creak of the car, every flicker of a reflection becomes magnified, distorted by the solitude and the darkness. That's when I heard it. It was faint at first, almost lost beneath the sound of the storm. A high-pitched, mournful wail that seemed to ride on the wind. I turned down the heater, straining to listen. It came again, closer this time. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't the wind whistling through a crack in the window. It sounded human. It sounded like a woman crying, a sound of pure, unadulterated grief that sent a shiver down my spine. I slowed the car, peering into the darkness. I could see nothing but the rain and the endless night. The sound was coming from somewhere outside, carried on the gale. It was a cry of such profound sorrow that it felt like it was seeping into the very soul of the landscape. I've heard EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, before. I've captured whispers pleas from the other side. But this was different. This was live, in real time, a disembodied voice crying out in the middle of nowhere. As my eyes adjusted to the near-total darkness outside, I saw something. A shape. Up ahead, caught in the faint diffused glow of my parking lights, a figure was standing in the middle of the road. It was tall and slender, completely still, seemingly oblivious to the torrential rain pouring down upon it. My heart leaped into my throat. Who would be standing in the middle of this godforsaken road, in this weather, at this hour? The crying had stopped. The silence that followed was somehow even more terrifying than the sound itself. I flicked on my high beams. The sudden intense light flooded the scene, revealing the figure in stark detail. It was a woman. She was wearing a simple, old-fashioned white dress that was now completely soaked and clinging to her gaunt frame. Her long, dark hair was plastered to her face and shoulders, dripping water onto the asphalt. She didn't flinch or shield her eyes from the bright lights. She just stood there, motionless, her head bowed as if in prayer or deep despair. A wave of cold dread washed over me. This wasn't right. This was a scene from a nightmare. Slowly she lifted her head. Even from this distance I could see that her face was pale, unnaturally so, like polished marble. Her eyes were wide and dark, two empty pools that seemed to absorb the light rather than reflect it. She raised a hand, not to wave for help but in a slow, deliberate gesture, beckoning me forward. I pulled the car up alongside her, the passenger window now just inches from where she stood. The rain continued its relentless downpour, creating a curtain of water between us. I hesitated for a moment, my hand on the window crank, 1,000 worst-case scenarios flashing through my mind, but her face, now so close, held no malice, only an overwhelming, soul-crushing sadness. Taking a deep breath, I lowered the window. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice sounding weak and shaky against the storm. "Do you need help?" She didn't answer immediately. She simply turned her head and looked at me, her dark eyes seeming to peer directly into my soul. A drop of rain traced a path down her pale cheek like a single perfect tear. When she finally spoke, her voice was a soft, ethereal whisper, barely audible above the rain.
"I'm so cold and I'm lost. I need to get to Blackwood Creek."
The name of the town sent another jolt of unease through me. It was the place on my map, the supposed destination at the end of this dark road. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the door. "Get in," I said. "I'll take you." She opened the door and slid into the passenger seat with a silent, graceful movement that was almost unnerving. A wave of intense cold filled the car, a damp, chilling air that smelled of wet earth, something else, something like decay. I could feel the temperature drop by at least 20 degrees. My breath fogged in front of my face. I put the car back in gear and pulled onto the road. The atmosphere inside the car had changed completely. We drove in silence for what felt like an eternity. The only sounds were the rhythmic slap of the windshield wipers and the incessant drumming of the rain. I kept glancing over at her, but she never moved, never spoke. She just stared forward with those empty, sorrowful eyes. The cold emanating from her was so intense that I started to shiver. I turned the heater up to full blast, but it did nothing to combat the supernatural chill that had invaded my car. It was a cold that came from within, a cold that seeped into your bones. Finally, I couldn't stand the silence any longer. "My name is Leo," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's yours?" She turned her head slowly, her movements deliberate and unnatural. Her voice like the rustling of dry leaves.
"My name is Alara."
The EMF meter, which had been silent on the seat between us, suddenly flickered to life, its needle jumping into the red. A high-frequency tone began to emanate from the device, a clear sign of a powerful electromagnetic field. Then, a new sound entered the car, and it made my blood run cold. It was a whisper, a dry, raspy sound that came from directly behind me, from the empty back seat. "She's not going to Blackwood Creek, she never makes it." My head snapped back to the passenger seat. Alara hadn't moved. She was still staring straight ahead, her face a mask of serene sadness. "Who was that?" I demanded, my voice trembling with a mixture of fear and adrenaline. "Who is in the back seat?" She turned to me, and for the first time a flicker of something other than sorrow crossed her face. It was fear, pure, absolute terror.
"He's always there. He follows me. He won't let me leave."
A dark shape began to coalesce in the rear-view mirror, a distortion in the air in the center of the back seat. It was a mass of pure blackness, deeper than the night outside. Two malevolent, glowing red points of light appeared within the shadow. Eyes. They were staring directly at me.
"You should not have stopped for her. This is our road. This is her penance."
I looked at Alara. Tears were now streaming freely down her pale cheeks, but they were not tears of water. They were dark, thick drops of black liquid that stained her white dress.
"I was trying to leave. He ran me off the road, right here. He never lets me get past this spot. I just want to go home."
The horrifying truth crashed down on me. I wasn't giving a lost woman a ride. I was caught in the middle of a ghostly reenactment, a tragic loop that had been playing out on this road for decades, maybe centuries. Alara was a spirit, forever trying to reach a home she would never see again. And the thing in my backseat was the entity that kept her here. The darkness that owned the devil's spine. And I had just invited them both into my car.